On her father's birthday, her mother whispered something in his ear. To everyone's surprise, the once joyful father suddenly went pale. He looked at his daughter in shock, then rushed to the window and jumped out. The scene left the daughter completely stunned. She had no idea what her mother said. That could drive a man, who once called an ambulance for a paper cut, to take his own life. No matter how many times she asked, her mother refused to say a word. Even after being taken away by the police, she chose to serve 3 years in prison, rather than reveal a single thing. What made it even more confusing was how loving her parents had always been. Even past 50, they were still deeply in love. Her father knew she loved gold, so he bought her a big bracelet every year, and when he traveled for work, she'd prepare his blood pressure meds in advance, even labeling them with detailed instructions. The daughter could never understand why her mother would kill her father, so she went to the prison to find out, but her mother only wept in silence, and eventually cancelled her visitation rights for 3 years. 3 years passed in a flash. The daughter was getting married. On the same day her mother was released from prison, her husband suggested inviting her to the wedding, but she still held a grudge over what happened, though her husband firmly believed that no single sentence could drive someone to suicide. Meanwhile, as soon as her mother was released, she was surrounded by reporters, everyone curious what she could have said that would make a man kill himself. Some even offered large sums of money just to hear those words, but she only glanced at the wedding invitation, ignored them all, and left. She went straight to the wedding venue. Her daughter froze when she saw her. The host asked if she wanted to say something to the bride, but she said no. Instead, she looked at the groom and said she had a message for him. The daughter was terrified, remembering the horror from 3 years ago, and stepped in front of her husband to protect him, but he gently reassured her it would be okay. He smiled lovingly at his wife, then confidently approached his mother-in-law, because he didn't believe a sentence could actually end a life. At that moment, his mother-in-law leaned in and whispered to him. His face immediately changed. He looked back at his wife, and with sheer terror in his eyes, ran straight toward the window. Just like the father 3 years ago, he jumped without hesitation. By the time people rushed down, his body was already cold. Everyone was gripped by fear, because 3 years ago one sentence killed her husband, and now another took her son-in-law. Everyone wanted to know what exactly she had said. The groom's father lost control on the spot, grabbed her by the neck and demanded answers, insisting she explain herself publicly. As the crowd's anger grew louder, she shook him off and asked if they really dared to hear the truth. The room fell silent, because everyone who had heard that sentence was now dead. Then the daughter spoke up and said she was not afraid to hear it.